This is a special edition of WeatherScope with the latest winter storm update.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Channel. We are live here at the Forecast Center. My name is Brad Edwards and we are looking at the biggest storm of the season, a snowstorm moving from the south into the mid-Atlantic states, and it could rival the President's Day storm of 1979. This is going to be a doozy, folks. It started off in the south with some snow. We actually had snow in Georgia today with some light snow falling, and it wasn't that light actually. In some of the mountains of Georgia, several inches fell here. Great news for skiers at the Ski Valley Ski Resort, and looking for more snow as we go into Sunday, as it will make driving conditions a little difficult. Around Clarksville, Tennessee, it was a little difficult here traveling. They had several inches of snow. This is just up I-24 northwest of Birmingham, and you can see postal workers out working, but a lot of folks were just taking it easy and having a little fun with the snowfall. And even further south in Denton County, just north of Dallas, several inches of snow earlier today. A number of accidents too on I-35, so there have been some problems with this. Temperatures are getting very cold there. Wind chill values dropping well below zero. So this is a big-time storm, and you can see there are already problems, and we're not even into the heart of the storm. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better. And we have our own Jeff Morrow standing by live at the nation's capital, and snow is starting to fall there, Jeff, and it really looks like you're going to see possibly 3 feet of snow, Jeff.
To me, that's almost unbelievable, Brad, and I think to the folks around D.C. here, that's probably something they don't want to hear. Even folks that would probably say, yeah, it's the weekend, bring on the snow, we want to go out and play in it. 3 feet of snow would be a paralyzing snowstorm anywhere, and particularly here around the nation's capital. I'm sure nobody wants to hear that. It is a little bit fortunate, though, that it may be falling, of course, here on the weekend, but that kind of snow is going to linger well into next week. And of course, there'll be some blowing and drifting of that snow as well. And from what you told me before we went on camera here, it doesn't look like there's that much of a chance that we could mix over with rain or sleet. So this is all snow.
As a matter of fact, Jeff, it could be like the thunder snow. We're talking maybe 3 inches per hour or something like that. So we're looking at Dulles and National and all the major airports, BWI, possibly shutting down for a time tomorrow or tomorrow night.
There's definitely that possibility, and it appears like it's becoming a better possibility as the hours go by. Speaking what's happening here right now, the snow has picked up in intensity. It is actually sticking a little bit on some of the roadways here, blowing around a little bit, not really sticking on the grass or on the mall surface here, what I'm standing on. The Capitol, which is, I would say, about a quarter of a mile behind me there, still you can see it pretty clearly, so the visibility hasn't dropped below a half to a quarter mile yet, but we expect that to happen here before the night is through.
Okay, so when we can't see the Capitol, Jeff, we know that something's going on there, right?
Yeah, I would say that it's snowing pretty hard out here, and we definitely expect that to be happening. If it's snowing at the rate of 1 inch or 2 an hour, like you said it could tomorrow, I would be surprised if we could see about halfway between here and the Capitol tomorrow.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Jeff. We'll get back to you in about 30 minutes, and I guess the government could shut down again for different reasons, as heavy snow is definitely going to fall in the D.C. area and many other areas, I might mind. As you will see here, we have a pretty big system rolling on in. Let's take a look at this situation. A lot of energy coming in with the jet stream right now, and it is going to crank up a major storm system. The energy is really, we're talking about 150 and 170 knot winds coming into the bottom of this system, and it's really going to energize it. And you couple that with the fact that it's going to go over the warmer waters of the Atlantic. We're going to see this low tracking over to the water. Once it gets to this point, it's going to really energize off the Carolina coastline, and that's when it's going to turn into what we call a bomb and start heading to the northeast. And many cities are going to be affected with this storm, including Philadelphia, New York, and possibly Boston as we go into Monday. So this is going to affect a whole lot of people out there, and is really going to paralyze many areas. You can see the precipitation is really coming down here. As far as the rain snow line, right now we are looking at quite a bit of snow in portions of North Carolina, and then mostly rain in South Carolina, Georgia. You really have to go back to here. So that's about where the rain snow line is right now. Of course, that will be changing. Now, looking at what we've seen so far already in some of the mountainous areas, we've seen a foot of snow, and on top of that, we are going to see possibly 12 to 36 inches of snow in this area, and that includes the Richmond area, the D.C. area, this entire area getting socked with snow. Now keep in mind, this only goes up to 7 p.m. Sunday. This storm will not be done by 7 p.m. Sunday. In fact, it will continue to snow right into Monday, so it's going to be a paralyzing storm for the coastline. We haven't seen a storm like this year, and certainly we haven't seen this one like this probably this decade, so it is a major paralyzing storm. Well, stay tuned to the Weather Channel. We are going to bring you coverage all throughout the weekend and beyond, and we will be going live into D.C. and New York through tomorrow. Right now, we turn to the studio where Christina Abernathy will take us into the forecast and take a look at other conditions around the U.S.
Okay, thanks, Brad. Well, of course, you told us all about what's going on here in the eastern half of the country with our big storm here. Also seeing a little action in the northwest. Don't want to forget about that. You've got a front moving through, and you are looking at some wet weather occurring now in coastal areas, especially into northwest Oregon, and as we head up around the Seattle area. Even some snow occurring here as we head into northwestern Montana. All's quiet here in the central U.S. except for some pretty chilly temperatures. But let's talk a little bit more about this system here, this big storm that we're seeing developing here in the southeast. What goes into making a system like this? Well, it's a classic winter storm. We've got our jet here digging quite far to the south, and that's allowing some pretty chilly temperatures to move in here. We're looking at an upper low that's going to close off here, developing low, and we're going to also see a surface low develop. That's going to track on off towards the northeast, and it's going to strengthen as it does move off towards the northeast, intensify. And what we are looking at with our area of low pressure, not only do we have the low pressure, we've got some bitterly cold Arctic air here to the north, and then just an abundance of moisture from the Atlantic. So with our low and the circulation around our low here at counterclockwise rotation, we're going to see some very windy conditions. We're also going to see all this moisture being pulled around our area of low pressure. So when you have cold temperatures and when you have lots of moisture, we know what that means. It's going to mean some heavy snow with possible blizzard conditions here for some of the mid-Atlantic states and possibly even farther to the north. We're looking at ice in between, then to the deep south, accumulating snows here. So a snow event not only in the southeast, but of course the big story here as we head even farther to the north. We're also going to see some pretty cold temperatures moving in as far south as Florida as that Arctic air moves in behind our system. So chilly temperatures well into the deep south. Let's look at what's going on for Sunday morning. We're going to actually see two areas of low pressure here as we head into the morning hours. Still looking at, of course, heavy snows here. West Virginia, on back into North Carolina and Tennessee, perhaps even turning to snow here in Atlanta. Now, in between our area of snow and our rain back towards the south and east, we're going to see a band here of maybe some freezing precipitation for parts of North Carolina into the upstate of South Carolina. All that continues moving off towards the northeast, east-northeast as we head into the midday. Still looking at some heavy snows here, perhaps blizzard conditions for maybe Washington, D.C., for Baltimore, parts of Virginia. Again, just heavy amounts of snow will be falling here. Now, by the afternoon hours, we're just going to be dealing with one area of low pressure here and still looking at the snows moving into southern Pennsylvania, into New Jersey. And as we head on into the night, we'll see those snows moving northward into perhaps New York City. But still quite far to the south here, still looking at some lingering action into Tennessee and into northern Alabama. And don't forget about the northwest. You're still going to be dealing with some precipitation here too in the form of rain, maybe some freezing rain and sleet, and in the higher elevations you may be dealing with some snow. And here's how much you can expect in the northwest. Heaviest amounts, of course, here, Virginia, West Virginia, and on into northern North Carolina. A foot or more. Actually, you could be seeing quite a bit more than that as the snow's already piling up in many of these areas. Chilly temperatures indeed overnight, dropping well below zero on the northern plains, and we are going to see some cool readings for highs on Sunday behind our system. Now, by Monday, it's still quite cool here. Most of the eastern half of the country, temperatures ranging from the teens to the 40s. Still quite mild in the west, though, and that will generally be the trend, although we do see a bit of a moderating trend here in the southeast. Still 30s for the upper Midwest and 20s for northern New England as we head on into Thursday. Still looking at the same thing. Quite mild, though, in the south. 60s, 70s, and 80s showing up in the extreme southern U.S. As far as rain and snow, it's still snowing quite heavily here perhaps Philadelphia, Trenton, New York City, maybe into Hartford. Light action here around the upper Midwest. That will be moving on eastward as we head into Tuesday. Still some activity here in the form of showers and snow showers in the northwest. Here's how it looks by Wednesday, but all this activity is going to be moving east, so another round of active weather for the East Coast on Thursday. We'll continue to keep you updated on that situation, and we'll have more coming up next.